Hi, welcome to this week's episode of How I Choose to Live My Life. My name is Lesley Donaldson, and all the previous episodes leading up to today's episode is all uploaded on our YouTube channel at ITR Polygraph. And I'd love for you to maybe go back, maybe have a look, see where we are so that you can kind of relate with what we're talking about today. Either way, maybe you can be able to relate to what's going on today, and not all the time. I have committed every Thursday to coming on and speaking about my life and what happened, and I continue on from last week. And again, I've said it before, not every day do I want to go back and revisit this, because my day today has been incredibly awesome, and there's sunshine here in Alberta, and we're outside and we're talking and we're doing things, and life is going on. And some people have said to me, why, Lesley, do you want to go back? It's not about going back. It's about me telling my story and me going forward, and me also helping other people to deal with what's happened in their life going forward. And if somebody's wondering what am I holding in my hand so that you don't think it looks weird, it's something that my father used to have. It's called a listening rock. I happen to have a seashell. I'm a little bit of a mermaid maybe. But anyways, this helps me to stay focused and on track of what I want to talk about, and stay grounded and not allow myself to be distracted by everything else that is going on in my world, and especially in my mind. I can kind of be a little bit squirrel, okay? So right now I choose to hold this in order to keep my focus, because I'm talking about very tough times. And right now I would actually have Ruby with me, but she hurt her foot and she might be a bit fussy, and I'm menopausal and I might overheat, and so it's not something I feel comfortable doing right now, especially talking about some things, because last time when we spoke, I'm letting you guys know the woman that my dad chose to date. But I want to go back behind the scenes a bit and let you know, well, then what, right? I was over at my dad's house, and I have to go home. I need to go home. I need to go home and tell my family what my dad just said to me. We were incredibly close. My mom and dad were incredibly close with Ken and I and our children, my Auntie Susan, my cousin Becky, their whole family. We were very, very close. And so when my father lets me know that he's chosen, after being with my mom in a relationship, in a marriage with her for 40 years, he's chosen to date a married woman. What does that look like behind the scenes? How is my dad handling being widowed, being without his partner? My father was living, my mom and dad together had a beautiful house built in Kingswood in St. Albert. Beautiful. It was a dream home of my mom's. It had a beautiful master bedroom up top on the main floor, and a children's playroom, and then down below there was spare bedrooms with their own bathrooms and their own doors out to the backyard, where it was a huge pool. Our children grew up being able to go over to my mom and dad's house and for dinners and listen to music and Pavarotti. And my dad was a chef, and he was in the food ingredient business, and he was incredible at entertaining. So we were always used to going over to my mom and dad's house and having wonderful barbecues and dinners and holidays and summer nights out on the patio and pools and everything, and the twins and the kids, Olivia and Juliet, Alex and Paige, Amanda and Sierra, all of the kids, my sister, everybody was there. And we all enjoyed my mom and dad's house and their friends. We were always welcome and everything. And I don't know if you've experienced this or not, but this certainly happened to me and my family, is pretty much the minute my mom died, everything changed. All the relationships. The relationships that I had with my mom and dad's friends changed. And the relationships I saw really change with my dad. My dad was very broken, so how did he deal with that? I'm telling something that is of truth. And when I talk about the truth, it is not to ever diminish who anybody was. But my father, he loved to go out and have drinks with his friends. He would go down to the rugby club. He'd go down to the Crown and Tower. He'd go down to different pubs and things like that. And he loved to go out for dim sum, jumbo dim sum on the St. Albert Trail. There was so many, and the Southside Sawmill, so many places that my father loved to frequent. Because he was a businessman and he had clients and he would do that. And this was many years ago where people had lunch and had business calls out in the restaurants and things like that. But had it ever happened to you where if you're the one who's seen with the money and you can afford lunch all the time and drinks all the time, that it's you all the time picking up the tab with your friends? And that's what it turned out to be a lot with some of his so-called friends. They turned out to be fake friends. My father and mother have very true friends. And anybody listening to this, do you know how you know that you are true friends? We are all still friends. Everything is still great. But fake friends who just kind of used my dad for his money, which many people did. My dad was a very wealthy businessman. And sadly, behind closed doors, I think he had some low self-esteem, that he let some people into his circle. And I know what it's like because I've done it before. I've been a bit weak and I've been wounded and I couldn't see straight. And I let somebody in and some people in that were actually wolves in sheep's clothing. So sometimes people think, oh, it's okay, Sandy, let's just go and have a drink. Oh, let's just do this. But did you get my dad drunk? Was it in the, how many drinks did my dad have when he was with you? And then when he was with you and he was either at your house or he's out in public and he is not with my mother, because I can tell you when my mother was alive, my dad was not drinking and driving. My mother did not do that. She drove. But I have to tell you now, I'm very upset with some of the things that his so-called friends, his best friends let him do. If you let my dad come to your house when my mom had passed away, knowing that he was broken, knowing that he is grieving and not in his right frame of mind, and you let him drive drunk, that sits with me to this day. I remember my dad saying he didn't know how he got home, and he came home from one of your houses. I've got to tell you, when my mom was home or here, she did not allow my dad to drive drunk. He would have taken a cab. She would have driven him home. But there was a lot of friends who said, come on, Sandy, let's just go to the pub. Let's go out for dinner. Let's drink. He picked up the tab. He drove home, and you let him. So here's the thing. There's a lot of layers to this story. So where we leave off and pick up each time is depending on what's going on in the story. Because right now, my dad has lost his wife. He's incredibly vulnerable, and many people are trying to take advantage of him for his money. They are mistaking my father's kindness for weakness. And sadly, my dad was without his partner. He was wounded. It's like Superman and kryptonite. He was broken and he was wounded, and then he was taken advantage of. And next week I'm going to tell you even more about what happened. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Bye now.